Welcome everyone to our session on what's new in Microsoft 2025 Release Wave 1 for Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. I'm excited to have you here today. We at AlfaPeople are a global Microsoft partner specializing in Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and AI solutions. Our focus today will be on the key updates across all ERP solutions, CRM solutions, and the Power Platform solutions. Today's webinar is structured into 4 sessions. My colleague Gitte will start with finance and supply chain management, and then Truls will give us all the insights for Business Central. Then Chris will take over and take us through the latest updates in the CRM solutions in Dynamics 365, and also presenting the news for the Power Platform modules. Each session will last around 20 minutes, followed by a Q&A session. And what I want to say also, you will all receive the full presentation deck with all details after the webinar. But before we begin, a few quick notes. This session is being recorded, and we will share the presentation, including all relevant links with you in the next few days. We will also send a survey to you, which is for us very important, so we will appreciate a lot if you take just 2 minutes to complete. And feel free to submit your questions in the chat. We will address them at the end of each session. What are the release waves? Microsoft introduces new features and improvements in 2 major updates per year, typically in April, so next week, and in October. These updates are announced in advance. In January, Microsoft communicated to the whole community what the plans are. And in February, we start having access to all the details for updated features coming from April 1st to end of September. So let's get started. We will kick off with updates for Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and operations.
So let's start by defining the terms deprecations and replacements. Deprecations refer to features that Microsoft plans to remove or discontinue in future updates of the solution. So that means these functionalities will eventually stop being supported. Replacements, on the other hand, are new features or alternatives that take the place of those deprecated ones. So this process ensures that your solution stays modern, it stays secure, and it aligns with Microsoft's latest innovations. So with that context in mind, let's skip to the next page. You will all receive this full slide deck beginning of next week. We have chosen not to walk through the deprecations and replacements. Instead, we will let you do that with a nice cup of coffee in your hands. We believe it's better to focus on the new things. What's new in finance and operations? Let's now focus on cross-app capabilities. The first one here, AI actions for finance and operations, business logic. So this next development is really exciting, especially for organizations looking to make Copilot even more relevant to the day-to-day operations. So we're talking about the ability to extend Copilot's capabilities in finance and operations by building custom plugins that tap into your business logic. That means instead of Copilot being limited to general insights, it can now work directly with your specific processes and data. And this isn't just for in-app use either. These AI actions can be surfaced across the Microsoft ecosystem, so like in Copilot for Microsoft 365, or even in your own custom Copilot experiences. And that's really powerful, is that these plugins don't require any special interface. They can be triggered purely through natural language. So if someone asks a question in Copilot, it can respond by executing logic that lives right inside your finance or operations apps. So bottom line, this opens up a huge opportunity for automation and personalization, making Copilot not just smart, but really truly connected to your own business, to how your own business runs. Next one, we have extend Copilot finance and operations apps with client actions. Now, let's take a closer look at how we can extend Copilot inside the finance and operations apps, specifically using client actions. So this is all about giving makers the ability to enhance the in-app Copilot chat experience by connecting it directly to client-side business logic. So instead of Copilot just providing general suggestions, it can actually trigger specific actions or return data based on the user's own prompts, like questions or commands. So what makes this really powerful, though, is the sidecar chat experience. Copilot sits right alongside the user's workflow. And with this capability, it can now respond with real-time context-aware logic without needing to navigate through menus or screens. So in short, we're dramatically changing what Copilot can do, turning it from a smart assistant to a truly interactive embedded tool for getting things done way faster. And the last one here, ask questions about your ERP data in natural language. This one is a game changer in terms of usability. Users can now ask questions about the ERP data, just like they would to a colleague, for instance. Instead of digging through menus or running reports, they can simply just type a question like, what were our top 5 selling products last month? And then Copilot will give them a direct answer. So it's fast, it's intuitive, and it lowers the barrier to getting insights from your data. And because it's powered by natural language processing, users don't need to know where the data lives or how to build a query. They just ask and get the answer instantly. So whether it's a finance manager or a planner or someone in the operations, this makes working with data a whole lot more accessible. Moving on to the next slide. First one we have here, enable support for synchronous operation in dual write functionality. So this update introduces synchronous support for dual write. It helps improve reliability and performance by allowing data to sync in the background, especially useful for more complex or high volume processes. So a small change, but one that makes a noticeable difference in day-to-day operations. And the last one here, get offline support for finance and operations virtual tables. This update brings offline support for virtual tables in finance and operations apps. It's especially useful for mobile scenarios where internet access is unreliable, like in a warehouse or out in the field. With this, users can continue working in Power Apps even when offline, and then changes will sync once they're back online. A very practical improvement for real-world operations. Now let's take a look at finance. Let's move on to business performance analysis and how Microsoft is improving data-driven decision making. And the first one we have here, manage assets using the acquire to dispose data models. This update introduces the acquire to dispose data model in business performance analytics, which is designed to support the full lifecycle of asset management. So it allows organizations to track assets more accurately from the moment they are acquired to when they are disposed. That means better control over asset valuation, reduced manual work, and clear insights into financial impact. So with more reliable data, companies can identify cost-saving opportunities, improve asset utilization, and make more informed decisions about future investments. It's a solid step forward towards smarter and more transparent asset management. The next one, refresh data frequently in business performance analytics. Frequent data refreshes in business performance analytics might sound a little like a small thing, but it makes a big difference. By you can say updating data more often, organizations get faster access to up-to-date insights, which improves the accuracy of reporting and speeds up processes like month-end close. It also supports quicker decision making so teams can respond to changes in real time instead of relying on outdated numbers. So this is especially valuable for finance teams aiming to stay agile and maintain a competitive edge to them. Now let's take a look at how Copilot is enhancing business performance. So we have the first one, create dimensions and cubes using Copilot in business performance planning. So creating dimensions and cubes in a planning tool has traditionally been a slow and manual process, so often requiring days or even sometimes weeks to set up models using old Excel files or outdated systems. But with this new Copilot feature, users can now get smart recommendations based on their existing Excel spreadsheets. So this makes it a lot easier to configure the right dimensions and cubes in business performance planning. So it's really a time saver and removes a lot of guesswork from the processes. The next one, empower users with generative help and guidance. With this feature, we're taking user support a step further. Instead of browsing documentation or asking a colleague for help, users can now simply ask Copilot questions directly inside business performance analytics. So it's a quick way to get contextual answers, saving time and reducing the need to involve IT or support teams or basic queries. So this is a great example of how AI can streamline everyday tasks and make users more self-sufficient. The last one on this slide, streamline Dynamic 365 finance and operations integration. This update is really about making planning simpler and more reliable by integrating business performance planning directly with Dynamics 365 Finance. You eliminate the need for manual data handling and get access to real-time financials. That means better accuracy, faster decision making, and fewer systems to maintain. So in practice, this improves how teams work with their tools. Everything becomes more intuitive and aligned. And from a business perspective, you're better positioned to respond to change and spot opportunities early. So it's a small shift, but with a big potential for efficiency and insights. Let's continue with a few more finance-related improvements. This time, we're focusing on bank reconciliation and agent-assisted actions. So this first one, further bank reconciliation report enhancements. Dynamics 365 Finance has expanded its capabilities here to help businesses reconcile faster and more accurately. So the process now relies more on automation, which not only reduces manual work, but also lowers the risk of errors. So it's particularly helpful for cash management teams who can now complete tasks with fewer steps and greater confidence. And ultimately, these enhancements support better financial control and more reliable reporting, which is something I guess most companies will appreciate, and especially during closing periods. The last one we have on this slide, use agents for recommended actions on account reconciliation agent workspace. So reconciliation is often one of those tasks that gets pushed to the end of the month. And we all know, how time consuming and stressful it can be. With this new feature, that will change. So instead of reacting after a mismatch is discovered, the system will proactively flag differences between the subledger and the general ledger. So Copilot steps in to notify the user, suggest possible fixes, and even resolve the issues automatically in some cases. This turns reconciliation into a more smooth, more continuous process, something that's always in motion instead of a bottleneck at month end. It's a great example of how AI again can simplify complex financial processes and reduce the manual work. Still within finance, let's talk about how Copilot is enhancing accounting reconciliation. So we have reconcile with subledger to general ledger reconciliation agent. We all know that reconciliation can be one of those end of month pain points, often pushed to the last minute and then rushed through. So this feature helps manage that or change that. With the new subledger to general ledger reconciliation agent, we're shifting from reactive to proactive reconciliation. Copilot helps identify discrepancies as they occur, not weeks later. It can flag differences, suggest resolutions, and it can even handle them automatically. So this means fewer bottlenecks, fewer surprises, more confidence in your numbers throughout the period, not just at the close. So it's a smart way to keep your books cleaner and your team, I guess, less stressed. Now let's look at a new experience designed specifically for accounts payable teams. It's called Experience Immersive Homepage and Copilot for AP Clerks. With the new immersive homepage and redesigned workspace, AP clerks can now navigate their task with much more focus and efficiency. These updates are all about surfacing the most relevant data and actions using AI to support day-to-day work across legal entities. And the result? Well, less time spent on routine tasks and more capacity for value-added activities. Now let's shift gears and talk about project operations specifically within the context of project management. This next set of updates focuses on improving how projects are handled, tracked, and optimized in Dynamics 365. Let's dive into the latest updates in project operations. So first one here, enable flexibility when determining financial dimension defaults. So this update is particularly useful for companies dealing with non-stocked or resource-based scenarios where cost and revenue aren't always straightforward. The feature allows us to assign financial dimensions more flexibly, both for cost and revenue purpose. That means that we get a clear picture of financial performance from the beginning. It also removes the need for manual reclassification, which not only saves time for the company, but also helps reduce the risk of errors. So overall, it's a helpful improvement for more precise financial tracking and easier reporting. Next one, enable multiple deployment types in a single legal entity. This feature gives organizations greater flexibility by supporting both stocked and non-stocked deployment types within the same legal entity. It's particularly helpful or useful in project-based businesses where different deployment models might coexist. For example, a consulting firm offering services alongside with physical products. Now you can combine Dataverse-based functionality with more traditional processes while still benefiting from tools like Microsoft Project for the web and unified resource management. And the result is more streamlined operations and better alignment between planning, between resources and execution. And the last one, enable processing, build sales for resource non-stock deployments. This update lets you create and manage build sales transactions like time, expenses, and the use of material directly on a draft invoice. So it's a more efficient way to handle invoicing in resource-based non-stock scenarios. The goal is to speed up billing, reduce errors, and help project-focused companies get paid faster while cutting down on administrative work. Let's continue with more enhancement for modern project management in Dynamics 365. The first one here, use integration troubleshooting for modern projects. So integration errors can be time-consuming to track down. This new troubleshooting feature simplifies the process by highlighting when data isn't synced between finance and operations apps and Microsoft Dataverse. So it makes it easier for users and partners to quickly identify and resolve issues, having valuable time and keeping projects on track. Next one, use progress billing for resource and non-stock scenarios. Progress billing is now available in non-stock and resource-based project operations scenarios. So this means users can define billing rules based on project milestones or percentage completion. This is ideal for long-term engagements or service-based work, and it supports more accurate invoicing aligned with project delivery and improves financial visibility across complex projects. And the last one here, use the enhanced quote experience. This is a more intuitive quoting process that lets users update quotes lines directly in a unified grid. So this will save time and reduce manual errors. So with added visibility into customer schedules, margins, and budgets, this feature supports smarter and financial decisions. Plus, summaries generated with language models offer clear overviews to guide the planning. So let's move to improvements in expense management. The first one we have here, enable number sequences in expense management. So this is a new interface that makes it easier to configure number sequence directly within the expense management module. So no need to navigate through the master setup. This reduces time spent and lowers the risk of errors, making the setup process more efficient and user-friendly. The next one, post expenses on the expense report posting date. Businesses can now choose to post expense transactions using a specific posting date instead of the report date. So this improves general ledger accuracy. It supports sequential voucher numbering and simplifies compliance. So as a result, financial reports become more precise and aligned with regulatory requirements. And the last one here, simplify expense management using new enhancements. So these enhancements address key functional gaps in the expense report's reimagined feature, bringing it on par with the legacy expense management interface. So the result is a more streamlined and intuitive process for for creating and submitting expense reports, helping users complete their tasks, even faster and with fewer steps. And back to project operations, let's talk about financial tagging for better backing and billing. So this one we have here is use financial tags for projects, sales orders, and journals. So financial tags make it easier to track user-defined values in accounting entries posted to the general ledger without needing to create new non-reusable financial dimensions. So you can apply these tags for reporting purposes like monitoring time and expenses tied to a specific initiative, all without adding complexity to your financial setup. Let's shift focus now to supply chain management. This next set of updates brings improvements to transaction handling, process efficiency, and overall visibility across the supply chain. So let's take a look at the key highlights, starting with how transactions are managed. Let's explore three key updates on supply chain management that improve accuracy, traceability, and efficiency. So the first one we have here, add transactions when recalculating weighted average. So this update gives us much more flexibility when it comes to recalculating weighted averages. So instead of running on or a one-size-fits-all process, we can now include or exclude certain transaction types. So it's easier to tailor the results to a specific reporting or compliance needs, especially in regions with stricter requirements. So personally, I think this is a great step forward, reducing manual cleanup and making the whole process much more efficient. And the next one we have here, trace and solve quality issues with Copilot. The quality issues can seriously impact customer trust. So being able to trace and resolve them quickly is key for a company. So this new Copilot feature in supply chain management helps speed that up by automatically gathering all the data you typically have to dig through manually, like batch numbers, production history, and different things in the consumption. So it not only saves time, but it also makes the investigation more reliable and efficient. It's a great example of how AI really can enhance day-to-day operations in a very practical way. We have the next one here, enhance vendor rebate management. So this update might seem minor at first, but it actually gives vendor rebate clerks more flexibility than ever before. So now instead of having to void and recreate a rebate deal when something changes, they can simply just edit and resubmit it again. And on the vendor side, the ability to reconcile rebate data with AP invoices directly makes it easier to align both sides of the transaction. So it's a small but very practical improvement that should streamline rebate workflows and reduce back and forth. And the last one here, track with tracking attributes and data collection in supply chain traceability. With this update, now we're taking supply chain traceability a step further. Stakeholders like quality and production managers now have the ability to dig deeper into deviations by leveraging tracking attributes. What's interesting here is that you can now trace back specific serial or batch numbers, not just generally, but tied directly to actual business activities. So this makes it a lot more easy to investigate the issues and respond quickly, especially in industries where precision and compliance are critical. Let's now turn to planning, specifically around demand forecasting. Enhance your demand forecasting and planning capabilities. Microsoft has made improvements to demand planning by delivering richer insights and visualizations. So these updates help planners better understand trends and anticipate demand through forecast charts, through predictive insights, and visual tools to support more accurate procurement and inventory planning. So this makes the planning process more proactive, helping businesses optimize their purchasing strategies and avoid under or overstocking.
Perfect. All right, I'll take you through what's new in Business Central coming forward. We're not going down deep diving into each and every aspect, but we are going to highlight the most important ones and what you need to be curious about. For the first one, you can now integrate the field service seamlessly with Business Central, which is a huge step here. It's usually a costly thing to do, but now it's available directly from your environment. So field service is of course used for service tasks and consumption and financial transactions for your technicians and your service managers who's working out in the field. So with the standard integration, you can get a streamlined and very easy way to set it up. And your people can work with these work orders and service orders really easy. And afterwards, like the most important thing, invoicing it and fulfilling them in Business Central. So standard integrations are always a lovely thing when they're introduced. Yeah, an extra thing for field service in general, the agents that are working out in the field have the option to look at your inventory and what you have available. So that's also a nifty thing that they added. For the application as well, with the introduction of subscription billing in BC, the reports capabilities have also been increased with new Power BI apps that gives you a better overview of recurring revenue and cash flow and so on. And for Copilot and AI innovation, of course, there's a lot of things happening here. And one of the things we want to highlight is the sales order agent. So the agents from Copilot gives the organization a tangible way to handle the business with AI. Specifically with this scenario, it gives your user automated flow and can help create sales orders automatically without being a heavy workload with a lot of manual input, which is what we want to avoid. So how do they work specifically? Basically, the agent is a tool designed to automate these specific processes for the user. So the user still has to put in some manual input, but in this process, like first of all, we can set the agent to monitor a designated email inbox for incoming customer inquiries and about products and items and so on. So the agent can then identify the customer with an email from the email with this link into BC, and can also check if items are available or not. Afterwards, the agent can then create a sales quote and prepare an email response, including a quote and a PDF document or whatever you set it up to. Of course, the AI agent uses or engage in multi-turn email conversations to clarify and to be able to clarify any missing details and provide like choices for the user. So like one note is that the agent does operate automatically, but it will require some user intervention or specific some input from the user for specific tasks, such as reviewing the messages that are going out. Always review those and maybe provide some missing details and so on. But it's a really cool, tangible step for AI, for the introduction of AI into BC. Yeah, so AI has of course been or Copilot and AI has been introduced into BC, and it also gives the users options to talk to Copilot, ask it about how functionality works, and learn how to install apps the correct way. So it's giving the user way more capabilities from the get-go. A quick overview of these, like Copilot can help you with a lot of things, and these are some of the things that I introduced. The first one is to enhance the purchase order line matching with Copilot, so you can actually set it up to actually match your invoices with your purchase orders. You can ask Copilot for gas emission factors, which is important later on for the ESG reporting, and to summarize data and understand numbers and so on. Ask it about anything, and it can usually give you an answer on it. This looks like a small change, enabling additional countries and regions. But this is something Microsoft works on continuously. More and more will be added, and companies who's already on BC has the option to set up shop in multiple countries. Since the more regions and countries that I added also comes with local governmental reporting like tax, VAT, and so on. And local compliance and governance is easier and more accessible with these additional localizations. Not going to dive into all of these, but the most important one, which is huge in my opinion, is manage environment updates more flexibly. So restrictions on how we update BC continuously has been lessened in this case. So the update period can now be extended from I think it was 60 days all the way up to 5 months now for major updates. So you can extend your update period, and it will help you. It will help organizations handle warnings and custom code in a timely fashion before the update arrives. So everything will work from the get-go whenever you do the update, which is really, really great. 60 days is not a lot of time. 5 months will help significantly here. So moreover, you can also skip minor updates. So you can really plan your update cycle really, really well for the coming months. So it will, and this feature will basically help both partners and customers to plan these updates way better. So a much appreciated update, if I say so myself. Yeah, and this is also in terms of the update, you view app compatibility with the future versions in the admin center. So we're basically able to see what apps we have installed in the admin center, but also if they fit the new updates that are coming down the line. So you get a warning if there's potential problems with compatibility between the versions. So it's another lovely tool that gives us options for better planning. And for reporting and data analysis, Microsoft's already put a lot of work into these layouts that comes with the BC. And as you can see here, Word and Excel layouts will be the go-to approach for companies moving forward. Companies today make specific layouts mostly to fit their needs, though it's often required developers to implement these RDLC reports or layouts. So for the first one, access, report and request metadata in Word layouts. What it means is you can handle report layouts directly in Word. So it just makes it easier for companies, and you now have like even more capabilities to work with your own data in the layouts and structure it to your needs basically. So for the second one, use enhanced analytics for manufacturing. Basically, what they have amended is that you get options in Power BI. And again, Microsoft has made some changes to get the option to make your own Excel layouts here for your manufacturing, and you can structure and tailor them to your own needs. It's a really cool thing for organizations to be able to do this, and cost efficient as well. You don't have to hire developers or consultants to do it for you. So last but not least, use enhanced financial reporting capabilities. With Word and Excel layouts, you don't need coding. Like I just said, you don't need coding understanding, but you can get an easy way to present data in your reports, and you can build these yourself. So yeah, cool thing. All in all, everyone wants to be able to do it themselves. Microsoft have seen this, and now they can, and in the future it just becomes better and better. Yeah, a small thing they update every time there's a release is that they add more and more columns to the different pages in BC. It's not just manufacturing. This is an example that's given here, but personalization can always be better, right? So with every new release, more and more fields are being available for the user to customize their views, and yeah, so you can be like way more efficient. It helps out. Yeah, for this one, block items or variants from production output. So moving forward, you're able to block items from the production output, and it means you can prevent specific items or variants being used in your manufacturing. For this scenario, blocking items can be useful if you want to restrict replenishment because you started producing another model, but you want like still be able to sell your remaining stock beforehand. So this is a way to handle that. And handle production output with warehouse putaways. With warehouse putaways, you can use this. It basically means that you can use the same warehouse processes for the goods you manufacture from your production. So you basically, like your warehousing staff, for the warehousing staff, the processes just becomes way easier because it's the same way they handle goods normally on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, this is a way to kind of do full circle there from your production. A nifty change to the manufacturing and production is that you can now add document attachments to your bill of materials, your routings, or your production orders. So like the the good thing here is that being able to access your technical drawings and stuff from a centralized point in Business Central just makes it like way easier for your people in the manufacturing or the production to get these on the go. For this one, use enhanced customer document layouts for service management. You can now set up customer and vendor contacts. So the right report, or should I say, like the correct report, is chosen when you're sending specific people from vendors and customers documents. So a quick example would be like you want to send service invoices to the accountants, accountant contacts, and service orders to your customers' purchases. So it makes everything smoother when it's set up, and yeah, you always send the right layout to the right people. For this one, use streamlined product design tools in manufacturing. So manufacturing is a dynamic environment where change is inevitable, whether it's new components to improve your product quality or a shift in supplier, or you need to update your bill of materials or something like that. The bill of material versions got an overhaul in this release, and there was added a number of capabilities to improve the product design stage. With this update, you get a lot of more capabilities to your bill of material versions that can be checked out. So for the e-commerce in regards to Business Central, it mostly centers around the Shopify, the embedded Shopify connector. But for the first one, you can now activate sales channels in the Shopify connector. So the connector received some updates here. One of them is that you can activate the sales channel, so you know what is being released to the shop based on what channel is activated. It's a good thing. It's a nifty thing that they released here. You can create electronic documents from the posted sales invoices. So if you already did post some of your invoices in your Business Central, but you wanted to recreate some electronic documents to send to another stakeholder or whatever, you can now do that. You don't have to make a credit memo and then afterwards make a new invoice. So a great thing. You can do some post-processing. Again, for the e-commerce, you can generate multiple incoming electronic documents for multiple attachments. So basically, if you don't have a direct integration for your electronic documents, you can now upload them manually. So instead of uploading them one by one, you can just do it multiple at a time. Great thing. The second one, import and export more data using Shopify meta fields. So one big problem for the Connect in general is that it's locked you in a static integration where only a limited number of fields would be sent back and forth between platforms. So now we have the option to map these custom fields between the two systems, essentially making it possible to send more data with the standard connector. A great change for this. Yeah, and troubleshoot export issues, Shopify skip record page. It only means that you now get a lot more logging in between the connector or the shop and Business Central. So yeah, like you can see, there's a lot of updates to the electronic documents. I'm a bit short on time, so I'm not gonna take all of them, but the most important ones are that you can preview invoices before posting, and you can process them in the two-step way to secure more governance, basically. A big one for this release is the sustainability management that has been sent out. So with this release, you can see that Microsoft is picking up the pace when it comes to sustainability. A lot more on the coming slides, but yeah, integrating this is so companies can actually do some proper ESG reporting. But as an example, more and more companies are looking to comply with the 3 scopes of ESG, and yeah, it is something that has been sent in here, so you can actually do some reporting. But as you can see here, more and more stuff is being added. Yeah, the greenhouse gas protocol is basically what they're looking at. You have which is where you have three scopes you wanna report your emissions from. And the scope 1 is basically your own internal factors that you go through and being able to monitor these. The scope 2 is external, so your vendors and so on. But scope 2 will always be another company's scope 1, basically. The hard one is going to be scope 3, which there's a lot of updates to here. So scope 3 is by far the most complex to factor in, and this is the one we want to measure in your ERP. So basically, this is intangible emissions that can't really fit into scope 2. And examples, it is like emissions related to purchasing, related to sales, and related to production assemblies and so on. So yeah, but if we go through them, these ones next, like the quick overview here is, you now have the possibility to do scope 3 sustainability management with assembly and transfers, and also for sales. These are the most important ones. And again, also here, scope 3 in purchases, in the purchase process, to be able to monitor these and calculate these. And in manufacturing and production as well, it is the same thing. We want to be able to measure these in the scope 3 value chain. The last thing in sustainability management here is that you want to be able to track your yearly use of water or yearly use of power, electronic heat and electricity and so on. You can track this directly in BC as well now. And of course, we need some reporting on all these sustainability scopes we just put in, and this is also something Microsoft has released with this as well. Lastly, they have done some minor updates to optimize screen state. So people are getting bigger and bigger screens, and you want to be able to optimize your real estate there in the best possible way. So this they have done something to, and a little nifty update is that you can now preview your PDF attachments directly in the web client. So that's cool as well.
Start with the deprecations, replacements. Then we'll jump to Dynamic CE. I'll go through the 4 modules, and then we'll look at the Power Platform. Basically, I'm going to go through Power Apps, Power Automate, governance and administration, and then I'll give you just a quick overview of Power BI. I'm not a Power BI consultant, so what I can say about that is limited. Hope that's all right. Yes, so these are the deprecations this time around in this release wave. And just a quick note, even though a feature or functionality is deprecated, it is still available for a limited time period. This time period isn't always known. It could be a few months and it could be a few years. So don't panic. I would recommend you go through this list and see if you're impacted in any way. I've highlighted one of them with bold. The reason for that is I do know a lot of our customers are using this feature. I am myself very happy about it. So this feature is when you're using customer service and you're at a case, you will be presented with similar cases and helpful knowledge articles, which will help you resolve the case. In the future, this is going away, and Microsoft wants us to use Copilot instead. So yes, please go through the list and see if you're impacted. And let's then jump to the more fun stuff. So most of the updates this time is related to Copilot and AI, which is going to be even more integrated in the different modules. That is probably not a surprise for any of us, but yes. So we'll start with sales. And for the salespeople, they often have multiple leads, opportunities they are working on. They're conducting meetings, qualifying leads, and so on. They have a variety of tasks, which pretty much makes it difficult to stay organized and respond in a timely fashion to various customer requests. And of course, can lead to missed follow-ups, delay in sales process, and in the worst case, that we lose a potential sale. So Microsoft is trying to kind of like increase the efficiency of the sales reps for the entire sales process from lead generation to closing of the deal. And these are the first slides with updates this time around. I've highlighted one of them because I do think, I know this is just an update, but I do think this sales qualification agent is really going to have a strong impact on sales people's work and efficiency. So what it does is, for most companies, we get leads from our website, we perhaps and other channels as well, and companies have some sort of qualification process, basically where we're trying to answer, is this lead a good fit for our company? Do we actually want to spend time investing time if nothing comes out of it? So in sales, bad news quick is good news. So, but this qualification process often takes a lot of time. It's a time-consuming process where the sales rep have to do a lot of research on the website and so on and so forth. But with this new sales qualification agent, this process is pretty much automated. So, and the sales qualification agent is going to look at both CRM data, but also external data sources it finds on the website to determine if this lead is a good fit. So two main advantages as I see it. One is we'll save a lot of time for the sales reps. They can use that talking to clients instead. But also by it being the same way done by the system for each sales rep or on all leads, well, we'll kind of like eliminate this gut feeling. It will be data driven, and that will give us a much better pipeline with high quality leads, which again will give us more accurate forecasts. So yeah, I'm quite excited about this. The rest of them, basically, Copilot is going to be integrated in everything: the leads, the opportunity, conversations, emails, team meetings. And basically what Copilot is going to do is it's going to make sure that the sales reps don't miss follow-ups. It's going to suggest what they should prioritize and so on and so forth. So basically making sure that the process is as efficient as possible. So very cool. And some more updates, and I've highlighted the first one. So in some organizations, not all, we are divided into different departments, and not always are communication channels efficient between these two departments. So in a great world, everything that happens in one department, the other department knows as well. But there is a problem with these silos, especially when it comes to customer service and sales, because a problem that the service department is told about from a customer could actually be a potential lead for the sales department. But if the communication doesn't flow to the sales department, we kind of miss that potential deal. So, but not anymore. The sales qualification agent is going to scan, analyze cases, and present potential leads for the sales rep, and thus bridging this gap. So very cool, and I'm expecting very much of this, and I do think it will also have a significant impact, at least for those companies who are both using customer service and sales. Yes. Here are a screen photo of how Copilot is going to suggest actions, this carousel in the top here. And it follows you around no matter you're in leads or an opportunity. So you will always get a prioritized work task, basically. Yeah. And I've also taken a screenshot of the sales qualification agent Yes, I am spending a lot of time with that because it is a very cool feature. So I've taken this just to demonstrate how easy it is actually to set up. So you basically go into the Sales Hub and you set up your ideal customer profile, which industries, size, and so on and so forth, and you can fine tune it as you go along. And then the process will basically just happen automatically. So if you have access to these features in your licenses, I would highly recommend that you look at it and see how it can help. Yes. There are also a few updates for Copilot for Sales. So basically, one of the issues with both Copilot for Sales and also Dynamics App for Outlook is, at least in Denmark, Outlook is such an integrated part of the sales reps' work. You won't get them to send emails from the CRM system, at least in most cases. So kind of like getting them to track the different conversations into the right records can be quite challenging because it takes so many clicks. So Copilots make this process easier, and as you can see on number 3, it will also save meetings directly, meeting notes directly into CRM. So very cool. So more basically the same. So here we have Copilot for Sales meeting recap. We can see how many talked. We'll get some meeting notes and so on and so forth. It works very good. And also when you have a meeting, you'll be presented in Teams with a meeting recap, and basically it scans the entire system for what do the sales rep need to know to prepare for this meeting, and thus saving a lot of preparation time. We'll jump to customer service. Again, a lot of Copilot and AI. So these are some of the updates this time around. I've highlighted one of them. So when I was talking about deprecation, I was talking about this getting presented relevant knowledge articles. And it is very efficient. The only problem with using knowledge articles is that somebody has to write them. And that can be a time-consuming task. And basically for most small companies who lack the scale to kind of like this, they are pretty much not using it because it takes too long to create the knowledge articles. It gets lost in other tasks. But in the future, this is going to be far much more simple because we are able to create knowledge articles in real time from the actual cases they are working on. And basically, this is going to be a very, very efficient process. So the more cases the company has, the more articles going to be produced, the more efficient they're going to be, and so on and so forth. So I'm quite excited about this feature. Yes, a bit more about if you have tried the customer service agent experience. There are some few updates for that as well. I've taken a screenshot on how easy it is to set up this automatic creation of knowledge article. So if you are planning on using knowledge article or considering it, I would highly recommend that you look at this feature. It's easy to set up and the impact could be quite significant. Yes, and as we have Copilot for Sales, we also have Copilot for Service. Yes, basically, again, more efficient to locking things into CRM system. But please remember, Copilot for Service and Copilot for Sales also work with third-party CRMs. Salesforce, and others. It doesn't necessarily have to be Dynamics, and it can be bought as a standalone, and it works just as well. Yes, we'll move on to marketing, customer insights, previously known as Dynamics Marketing. And the first part is about the data. How can we use the data in the system? And I've highlighted the first one because I do think that is quite an interesting feature. So basically, using rich insights about leads, contacts, we can ask the system to kind of like give a prediction about what is the lifetime value, what is the probability that they're going to buy something, and so on and so forth. This is a very cool feature both for salespeople, but also for marketeers. And so it will help them focus on high quality leads and high quality contacts. And it will also kind of like bridge the gaps. There is a tendency in organization that marketing and sales doesn't always work well together. So we have the sales reps on one hand trying to reach their revenue targets and says to marketing, I need more quality leads. And on the other hand, we have the marketing people who says you have quality leads, you just need to be better to kind of like drive the sales process. So using this tool, we can kind of like just close that discussion and get them to work with the same kind of like one set of data, one truth. Yes. So again, I think that is very cool. Customer insights journey. I'm far from being an expert in the customer insight module, but and most of this is updates, so those of you who work with it already have seen most of it. But basically, Copilot is helping marketeers to set up journeys and help handing it over to sales. So basically, the same in sales, Copilot is going to help in the entire process of lead creation to the handover to sales. Yes, this is where you can kind of like just put it over to sales by using flows. Yes, and we'll jump to field service. Yes, as Troels mentioned, there is now a direct integration to Business Central, and that is great. In many CRM projects or CE projects, the integration to ERP system is always a given, and without a direct connector, it is quite a large part of the project in some cases. So that we have that now is it's really going to help with deployment. So basically, when we're talking about field service, we have 4 main processes we're trying to accomplish. One, how are the work orders created? Which channels do we get them from? How do we kind of like schedule the technicians to work on which work orders? And then we have out in the field, we are actually handling the work orders, the work, the tasks, and then back we have to send the update inventory, and we have to send the customer an invoice. So, but again, Copilot and AI is integrated in all of these processes and help each group of kind of like being more efficient in this. So what I'm quite keen about is this. I think the hardest part, or the most difficult part to optimize is the dispatching of the technicians. So because in some cases you can have work orders where the requirements are so specific, it can be different continents and so on and so forth. There can be so many different requirements, which make this the scheduling chore quite difficult, especially if you also want to optimize the technician's time. But now, using Copilot and AI, the system is going to suggest a schedule for the different technicians. Yes, so that was it for the Power CE platform. Again, there was a lot of Copilot and AI. If you have any specific questions to that, please just feel free to write either in the chat or send me an email. We'll go to the Power Platform, and I'll start with the Power Apps. So again, a lot of new things. So the first one I've chosen to highlight is how Copilot can now help you create the apps. Basically, you just write in natural language, maybe you have some images and what you're trying to accomplish, and it will come with suggestions both for the data model, flows, and so on and so forth. And that is going to be quite efficient when we're talking about deployment time. For example, last year, when the new EU regulations came in regarding that now all employees in the European Union had to register time, we decided to build an app which would kind of like automate the time registration. So the employees had the minimum work, administrative work, but also compliant with EU requirements. So it was a very small solution, but from initial idea to creating a data model, creating the flows, and so on and so forth, it still took me perhaps a week, at least maybe more when we include documentation of the solution. So hopefully this is, I haven't used it that much yet, but hopefully this is going to make developers quite more efficient. The second one I've highlighted is connected to model-driven apps. Remember, when we are in Power Apps, we actually have two different forms of apps. We have model-driven apps, that is the interface we see in sales, customer service. And then we have canvas apps, which are, as the name suggests, just a blank canvas where you can kind of like define the interface. So, but I'm always, so when I'm implementing a sales system, CRM system, one of the main issues are user adoption. So that's almost always a problem. Even though you train the users and give them how-to guides and so on, you actually learn IT with your fingers. And being able to, in sales, being able to kind of like sort through the different records and find out, okay, who do I need to contact and so on and so forth, it is a prerequisite for being good at the CRM. So, but yeah, it takes a bit of time to learn, but now they don't have to, because they can just write in natural language what they're trying to find, and the system will kind of like filter the records for them. So I am hoping that this will make implementation, deployment of a CRM system much easier, because they are going to be guided a lot more. Yes, and some other things, and this was the one I was talking about. You can still use the old one, of course, where you set up your own views, set up advanced filters, define which columns you want to see, and so on. But again, you can just use natural language instead. So I'm expecting a lot from that. And this was the first one I was talking about. Basically, just tell Copilot what you're trying to accomplish, and it will kind of like kickstart the entire process and cut the development time significantly, I expect. Yes, and we'll jump to Power Automate. There is also quite a few updates. I've chosen to highlight two. So Microsoft vision with Power Automate is that basically every user should be able to do basic automations on their own tasks. So if you have a repetitive administrative task, go to Power Automate and automate the task. That is basically Microsoft vision. We're not quite there yet. There are still some semantics you have to know, and if you have to do more than just use basic connectors, you need to know a bit more. So one of the things I'm always using at the moment is expressions. So if I want to convert a data type to another data type, if I want to convert a timestamp to a different time zone and so on and so forth, I use expressions. But the problem with expression for a user like me, I'm what is known as a native developer. It is that the system doesn't actually give you hints like they do in Power FX. So you basically have to kind of like just start working on it, and if it's wrong, basically you get an error message from the system. And I would expect that from people less technical than me, more business users, well, I do think using expressions is almost impossible. So, but now we can just write what we want an expression to do, and Copilot is going to give us the answer. So I do think this is going to be one step closer to Microsoft Vision, where everybody can use Power Apps and a Power Automate. I'm sorry. The second part is more with where I see the benefits more with documentation. So each time I do some solutions, of course, I have to document my work. So if something goes wrong, it's documented and people can look at my, go into the documentation and see, okay, that's where the problem is. So that is my least favorite thing about being a consultant. I prefer the building process and creating great solutions for the clients, but it is a necessary part of it, especially when you have multiple flows calling each other. It is a necessity, and it takes really long time. So now we can get graphic visualizations of these processes, and I'm hoping it will. I haven't used it yet. I'm hoping it basically can cut the documentation time in half. So that would be nice. And here's a screenshot of how Power Automate Copilot is going to suggest an expression using a different kind of language. I haven't tried it yet, and I am wondering how natural language you can use, because in this example, no standard user would write it like this. This is how I would write it if item type equals DevWorks, blah, 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 blah. So, but if it works in this case, but I'm going to try it out with using natural language and see what it comes back with. So, but again, it's going to help me a lot, and also others who uses expressions in their Power Automate flows. There's also a lot of updates on desktop flows. We are running out of time, so I'll just go through them here, and you can read them at your convenience when you get the slides. Yes. So there is also some updates on the governance and administration part. It's very interesting. So we just started a collaboration with a new client. It's quite a large company, actually, but the IT department consists of only 2 people. So what they wanted from us, one of the things they want from us is recommendation how they could kind of like be more efficient in the management of environments and solutions when they create updates. And these new things which we have in the Power Admin Center is really going to help a lot. It will come with suggestions. We have pipelines for deployment and so on and so forth. It is for small, basically for all, it's going to be make it far more easy, and of course we'll hopefully also make sure we don't have any mistakes. So I don't know if you can see it's a bit small, but this is where we get suggestions for what we can do. Yes, and on the security part, there is a lot of updates for those of you. This is on a more technical level than I am normally at. So please just, for those of you who have an interest in this, please just go through this at your convenience. Yes, and on Power Pages, there is also a few Power Pages. The old name for it was Portals. Now it's called Power Pages, but it is basically websites you can do on the Power Platform, and you can do customer portals and so on. Basically everything you need. So one of the things when you're doing customer portals is always how do you upload files, and there has been some problems that some would like to have bigger file sizes. It wasn't enough. I can't remember what it was before, but now you can upload up until 10 gigabytes. That should be plenty for all. Yeah.
I'd like to quickly introduce our brand new offering for Microsoft Copilot in Dynamics 365 Sales, which might be of interest to you. We have developed a Start and Go package that enables a fast and efficient activation of Copilot in Dynamics 365 Sales, which was just presented by Chris a couple of minutes before. This service helps you use AI capabilities seamlessly. You will find all details in the presentation we will send you, and you can also access them via the call to action button. One last important reminder, the Bridge to the Cloud 2 promotion is still available, but only until the end of this year. If your company is still using on-premises solutions like Dynamics AX, Dynamics NAV, or Dynamics GP, or even Dynamics CRM solutions, this is your chance to migrate smoothly to the cloud. With this promo, you can save up to 40% on your licensing costs. If you're considering a move, we're here to help. Contact us. And before we finish, I'd like also to invite you to our next webinar on Microsoft Copilot and AI happening on May 8th. The link to register is in the chat already, I think. And there you will learn in the webinar how to use Copilot in your daily tasks to work faster, simplify your processes, and make smarter decisions. And now, thank you all for joining our Release Wave webinar today. We look forward to supporting you in your digital transformation journey. Have a great day and see you next time. Thank you all.